surprise to you when I say that now we live in a time where news and information passes so quickly that it's often void of fact-checking, that our kids have retreated into worlds created on their phones and computers, and adults have replaced the feel of turning a book's page with the glare of an iPad or a Kindle. Some residents in our town would say that the need for a community library is no longer, that its history, along with our old party phone lines and 3 channels on a television, is come and gone. But a group of community volunteers dedicated to the mission of the library disagreed. They knew there would be young parents seeking a safe place for summer kids' activities and reading programs. A place where our school kids were coming for help with projects after school or study time. A place where those who had no access to the internet could come and connect to the world beyond our hometown. And a place where our aging community members could gather and find books and magazines from any place in the country. It's been it's been the quiet resolve, powerful commitment, and flexible tenacity of the library's trustees, fundraising committee, and friends organization who have weathered the criticism and yet see the social tide turning. Weathersfield residents are demonstrating their support of the library through their actions in memberships, program attendance, daily visits, requested resources, and financial giving. I say that with confidence because today the shovel is hitting the dirt. And come spring, a newly constructed children's area will have a ribbon cutting. It's all because of the community's financial response. The Byrne Foundation generously agreed to donate $15,000 to match the donations received by community members in a very defined 275 days, by the way, which is the square footage of the addition. But first, before their check arrived, there was no small task of raising the first $15,000. It arrived in gifts memorializing residents no longer with us. It arrived from a resident with 3 $1 bills in their hand, but an overwhelming heart to give. It arrived from those who have always used the services and those who live several states away. Most donations came with a story, a reason, or a memory, and they all came with a sole purpose in mind: to create a safe place dedicated to serving the kids of our community with increased resources, programming, and physical space. Towards the end of the fundraising efforts, when it became clear that the goal would be a reality, the library trustees applied for a grant from the state of Vermont. It was a unique circumstance, funding community building programs that were beyond the concept phase and near shovel-ready, with a strong basis of community support. Yesterday, library staff and volunteers drove to Montpelier to accept the hey Vanna, come on out. To accept this $22,000 check from Governor Scott. Today, while we place the shovel in the ground, we also celebrate and honor those library volunteers and staff. On behalf of the Weathersfield Select Board, we thank you for your resolve, tenacity, and commitment in carrying on the mission of the Proctor Library and the service in our community. Thank you, and to you too, for everything that you've done. Next, I'd like to introduce Anne Marie Christensen, who is our state rep.
You can't say more than that. All I can say really is that this was a long time coming. From Ernie constantly knocking on my back door asking for money for the library on their fundraising, the initial fundraising, to just serendipity of finding out about this loan at the last minute. And I said, wow, this is just perfect for the library. He said, well, yeah, you've got 3 days to get it in. Called Cookie and said, Cookie, this is it. And Cookie and Kelly, within 3 days, pulled it together. And to show you how fast, we got the check yesterday, and all of a sudden, here we're really shovel ready. So everything is Cookie and Kelly and all the volunteers and the community, and it's so great just to see this.
Thank you. To know 26 towns well, and it's always a treat to have a reason, a really substantive reason to be here. And this is, I think libraries are just such an important heartbeat to every community. And anything that we can do to improve and restore and revitalize these astonishingly important community resources is terrific. And seldom, I have been at the State House for many grant award ceremonies, and I have never been to one where it was going to get such instant gratification that the check arrives and we have the groundbreaking ceremony the next day. That's never happened. So it is wonderful to be here to support the incredible work of this library and of this community. And I just saw Glenna, who's your children's librarian, who used to work in Woodstock, who I know well, and the children's librarian is here in spirit. So I'm representing Glenna too. So thank you, and thank you for supporting this work, because this is terrific. Mark, bravo.